नमस्कार कार्यक्रम अलगधारमा यहाँलाई हामी हार्दिक स्वागत गर्छौं दर्शकवृन्द आज हामी कुराकानी गर्नेछौं एकजना फिमेल प्रेसिडेन्ट जो रोटरीको 117 वर्षपछि फिमेल प्रेसिडेन्ट हुनुहुन्छ म उहाँलाई स्वागत गर्न चाहन्छु It's an honor to stand in front of lady who make the history by becoming the first female president Rotary International in 117 years in the establishment. And I would like to welcome you, Jennifer Jones. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Have you been in Nepal before?
This is actually my second visit to Nepal. I was here about 2 weeks before the world lockdown for COVID. So I was here just prior to that happening, and it was my first exposure to this very beautiful part of the world.
It's very beautiful. How's your impression about Nepal?
I love it. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people. There's a lot of smiling, a lot of happiness, a lot of kindness that takes place here. And
the people are...
The people are beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So you have recently, I heard that you have recently met our President Vidya Devi Bhandari.
Yes.
How was the meeting?
We had a wonderful opportunity to meet with the President, Her Excellency, yesterday, and we had a very good conversation about the situation of what's happening in Nepal, what our Rotary clubs here, our Rotary leadership is doing for the community. So we had a chance to share with her some of the leadership that we're providing for this region, for this country, and certainly an opportunity for her to be able to share her praise for what's being done.
So it was a fruitful meeting, I think.
We, certainly have a lot of things in common, and one of the things that we focus on is it's a new area of focus for us is the environment. And she certainly, having served as the Minister of Environment, I know had interest in what we're working on in that regard. She's also been very forthright in her leadership for women's empowerment, and so that being a primary focus for us this year as well, it was an opportunity to share some of those things together.
What are the other plans? You're going to meet with our Prime Minister or other ministers. Is there any chances there?
We met with some of the leading business professionals and some politicians, including members of Parliament last night, and we had a chance to share a lot of different knowledge of our organization and a number of corporates that actually decided that they wanted to support some of the projects that are going on here, including 1,000 toilet blocks for girls that's going to be built within the next year.
Okay, Jennifer, what exactly the Rotary International means? What's its mission and vision? Can you explain it?
Rotary is essentially the voice of civil society in every community around the world. We have 1.4 million members. We're in more than 200 countries and geographical areas, and we are community leaders and problem solvers. And so when we see a problem in a community, we find ways to tackle the world's most pressing challenges. And so our members are very active in their communities and also doing international service work.
How the Nepalese Rotarians are doing? How's your feeling?
The Rotary family here in Nepal is wonderful. Between our youngest members through our active Rotary members, more than 16,000 people who are engaged in our movement, and they're working on everything from clean water, working on empowerment issues, they're working on basic education and literacy programs, peace development, as I said, the environment, a full spectrum of things that we stand behind as an organization, and we frame ourselves around what we call 7 areas of focus. And so
that 7 areas are?
The 7, so it would be peace development, basic education and literacy, clean water and sanitation, community and economic development, the environment, disease prevention and treatment. So a lot of things that align directly with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And what that means is, and we hold the highest consultative status with the United Nations, that we're all working collaboratively on making sure that the things that we all need to fix in our world, we're not competing, but we're complementing each other in our efforts.
How do you find this kinds of work? How you find in Nepal?
In Nepal.
Yeah.
Yes, the Rotary family here is incredibly active. And I just came a few minutes ago from Bhaktapur and hearing some of the really wonderful training programs that they've got going on there for both men and women. And barista training, hotel training, all different things to make sure that people have the opportunity for enterprise creation, lifting up people in communities so that everyone has an opportunity for education and therefore employment.
Okay, but what is your top priority as a president of Rotary International?
Well, the number one corporate priority for us is the eradication of the disease polio. And we started this more than 30 years ago, and we have immunized more than 2.6 billion children. We've raised more than $2.6 billion. We've collected incredibly notable partners with the CDC, the WHO, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and we have 30 cases remaining left in the world in 2 endemic countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. And we're very close to eliminating it, but it's going to take a huge global effort, a lot of advocacy to governments around the world to find the $4.8 billion that it's going to take to eradicate this disease. And that's because even though we only have 30 cases remaining, we have to immunize hundreds of millions of children a year until we have the last case and finally certification of the world as wild polio virus free. So we're committed to making sure that this happens, and we have an end target, a projected target right now of the end of 2023.
Okay. Jennifer, what does it mean being a first female president of the Rotary International, you and the world?
Well, as our first female president, I'm incredibly honored and proud to serve in this position, and primarily because I think that it helps to break down stereotypes. Sometimes I think our organization is seen to be very male-driven or perhaps elitist, and we want people of excellence. We don't apologize for that. We want excellent people in our organization. But being here in the capacity as a female leader, I believe it opens doors for others to see themselves perhaps authentically represented. And maybe there's young girls, young men that say, if she can do it, so can I.
You can do that.
Exactly.
Being a supreme leader of Rotary International, what are you doing to make as the best service organization in the global community?
Well, one of the things that I'm personally doing is embarking on what's called the Imagine Impact Tour, and 8 different locations in the world that I'm taking top-tier journalists, notables, celebrities, social media influencers along with me to showcase the large-scale, impactful projects that our people of action are working on. And so we started with a program in Pakistan in August, into Zambia, to highlight what we're doing with the elimination of malaria, into Uganda to focus on our peace efforts. We're going next in a week and a half to Taiwan to look at community and economic development and changing traditional crops into chestnut trees, much more lucrative and takes less hard labor to be able to do. We're going into the South Pacific Islands where our friends in Australia and New Zealand, our Rotary family, are immunizing 100,000 children against HPV, rotavirus, and pneumonia. We're going into Guatemala to focus on basic education and the education particularly of girl children there. Haiti for clean water and sanitation is a primary focus. And then the environment, we're looking at pollinator projects and what we can do individually, each person to plant something to make sure that our pollinators are protected. Many of them, the birds, the bees, the butterflies, which protect our food sources, quite candidly, are becoming extinct. And this is an unfavorable situation, and we really need to take steps individually, each person, to make sure that we can change that.
You can. There are Jennifer, there are lots of issues here in the world, like climate change, right? War on Ukraine, which is going on right now, man-made disaster, and many more. What are the challenges that you see?
Well, because we have members in every country essentially around the world, when something happens, whether it's man-made or climate-oriented, we have people there directly who are impacted. You talk about the war in Ukraine, we have 1,100 members in Ukraine, and so we...
Still there.
Still there, and so directly...
This war.
Absolutely. And so when the war broke out, within literally a matter of a few weeks, in our disaster response fund that we raised over $15 million, which has gone directly to the front line, particularly to make sure that food security issues and housing for moms and children have been taken care of. And we'll switch into grants that will support rehabilitation and rebuilding in the weeks and months to come as war transitions and they start to rebuild and regroup. Climate issues, climate crisis. Just recently, COP27 took place, and I led a team of individuals there. We brought a delegation to present on mangrove restoration and the critical nature of the erosion of the shorelines, rapid urbanization, and making sure that mangroves, which are a super plant for creating, taking in CO2 and creating oxygen, that we can protect many different parts of our planet. So we're committed to tackling, as I said, the world's most pressing challenges, and these are things that we see in real time. The devastating flooding in Pakistan. We have a large Rotary family there, and we're working quite actively. As a matter of fact, my vice president is there as we speak, viewing the floodplains.
Pakistan?
Yes.
Okay. You're doing a lot of working in different sector. Can you explain me what are the impactful contribution the Rotary Club has done till now?
Well, certainly we're on the verge of eradicating a disease, and so that has been polio worldwide.
Okay, polio.
We're on the verge of eradicating polio globally, and so that is a Herculean undertaking by our membership and a long-term commitment at a time when it would be really easy to say, oh my goodness, you know what, it's been too hard, we're done, we're going to move on. No, we're committed to crossing the finish line and making sure that we eliminate this debilitating and life-threatening disease for children and their families. And to be quite honest, the pandemic has amplified that we have the opportunity to harness the infrastructure, the public health infrastructure that we've created to eradicate polio. We used it for COVID and the coronavirus. We have an ability, an obligation to our world to eliminate these things because we know from the pandemic, it's only a plane ride away. And so if something happens here, it can easily jump over here. And if we don't take care of it, if we don't eradicate polio, the world is at risk.
You know, how country like Nepal will be beneficial for the plans that you have said earlier, these are so how will we'll get the benefit from the Rotary International?
Sure. Well, our members here are working very hard to identify the issues that are of the community. What are the things that need help here? And so I mentioned the toilet blocks, for example, 1,000 toilet blocks that will be built for young girls. During their menstruation cycle, many of them will stay home. They'll not be educated. It's a major problem. Yeah. And so if they're not going to school, they're not educated. If they're not educated, they're not going to be employed. If they're not employed, they're not going to fulfill their full potential. So this is a huge opportunity right now that our Rotary family is tackling, specifically being led by our district governor to put 1,000 into communities here. Training opportunities, basic education and literacy, teaching people and ensuring that adults as well as children are given the ability to learn, and even for women who are in the mid-term of their life to have opportunity for the creation of enterprise, to earn money, to help make them independent, to be able to support their families alongside their husbands as well. We know also that clean water and sanitation is absolutely a critical issue here in country, and so tackling that is of a pressing need as well.
Okay, tell our viewers why people of Nepal should join the Rotary Club.
Well, as I said, we're people of action, we're people of purpose, we're people of influence, and this is an organization of people of excellence. And so for those who are in their vocational lives looking to do something that gives them a different kind of paycheck, a paycheck with your heart. We're all volunteers. We all do this in our own volunteer lives. And so if someone's looking to also go through leadership development and personal growth, I certainly know that by attending club meetings and becoming involved in projects, I become much better at event planning, at board governance, at public speaking, all of these different things that help to make us better leaders. I like to say that we bring leaders in and we create better leaders.
So you have a very experience in the media also. How you are going to observe media right now?
Well, the biggest thing that I'm trying to do is encourage our members to tell their stories. And certainly coming from a communication journalism background, telling stories helps to engage people in what it is that we do. By telling emotive stories of how we touch and change lives, helps other people to say, you know what? I think I'd like to be part of that. I'd like to be part of something that is bigger than myself, that gives me an opportunity to dream about how I might like to make a change in my community, in my world. And because we have this global network, you have the opportunity to dream of a pretty big dream and engage.
So how's your experience in media?
My experience in media in terms of what background?
Yes.
Well, I started a media production company 27 years ago. Okay. I had worked in broadcasting for a number of years before that, radio, primarily, and some television. And that's where I learned storytelling, and that's where I learned the power of that. And so now taking what I have cultivated in my vocational life and transferring that into my volunteer life is incredibly important to me.
That's very nice. Okay. Jennifer Jones, thank you for the interview. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for the time, and I really do appreciate you asking a lot of really wonderful questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
त दर्शकवृन्द उहाँ हुनुहुन्थ्यो रोटरी इन्टरनेसनलका प्रेसिडेन्ट, पहिलो फिमेल प्रेसिडेन्ट, 117 वर्षपछि अध्यक्ष हुनुभएका जेनिफर जोन्स। हस्त आजको अलगधारको निर्धारित समय पनि सकिसकेको छ। आगामी हप्ता पुनः उपस्थित हुनेछौँ। नमस्कार।